So welcome to my home garden. Today I'm going to be talking about my tomatoes and some common things that people are talking about in September. In particular, the fruit splitting, the tomatoes not ripening, and the risk of blight and how we deal with all those issues. Now, if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my allotment, my home garden, and from time to time my home kitchen. Now, my tomatoes are doing really well and I've harvested the majority of mine, but I'm seeing some common problems that people are posting about the fruit splitting, tomatoes not going green, and the risk of blight. You know, I see people taking all their tomatoes off now and it's only September, and they're all green, and you know, wondering what to do with them. Are they going to ripen? Well, for a start, it is only the beginning of September. There's plenty of time for your tomatoes to ripen, should you take the correct care of them. So I'm going to tell you how you can help them ripen. First of all, I'm going to deal with split fruit, and why that's happening. I've got a little bit of split fruit here. Now, provided it looks perfectly okay, like it's not gone like that one there, it started to go a little bit manky. Well, obviously that one you'll have to remove. If it's just generally split like that, the reason splits happen is inconsistent watering. Now, where we are in Kent at the moment, we've been getting tremendous downpours, and that's basically causing the splitting. So it's nothing that you've done, it's just the way the weather's been. You know, if you've got them in pots and it's not raining so much and they're doing that, that's because you're not watering them correctly. But the reason that's happening is because we've had these torrential downpours and it will cause that splitting. But the only thing you can do is, you know, you obviously can't rectify it, you can't stop it from happening to the other fruit, unfortunately. If it's in pots, when it does rain really heavily, you could just take off the surplus, but when it's in the ground like this, you've just got to let them be. But you can still eat them, so provided they're perfectly nice and perfectly healthy, you can obviously eat them straight away. They won't keep terribly well, so you either eat them, you cook them, or you freeze them. You know, get them off before they start to go manky, otherwise then obviously you can't do anything with them. But all the split ones, I'll just put them all off and I'll make sure I use those ones first. So that's split fruit dealt with. When it comes to your tomatoes not ripening, like I said, there is still plenty of time for them to ripen. I know people are panicking that they might get blight. Unless you've actually got blight, it's a problem you're worrying about that you've not actually had. And actually late blight isn't anywhere near as bad as early blight. Early blight means you're going to lose the whole crop. Late blight, it doesn't progress through the plant at the speed that early blight does, so it's not so bad. So we're going to treat this as if we haven't got blight, and all you do is, and this also helps ripening up the tomatoes that aren't green, is you remove excessive greenery. So obviously make sure you're taking off any shoots that are coming, like you would always do. So any side shoots that are coming, make sure you remove them. You're not trying to grow extra tomatoes now, you are just trying to ripen what you've got. So any side shoots, you take them off, and you remove the leaves below the completed trusses of fruit. So it helps with the ripening process. So although by the end of the season your plants really look rather bare, they will ripen much quicker, because one, it helps the tomatoes concentrate on ripening, and two, it also means more light gets to the plants. That also in turn helps with blight, because the better airflow you get, the less likely you are to get blight. That's not to say you won't get a little bit at the end of the season, but if you only get a little bit at the end of the season, quite frankly, it's the least of your worries. If you do think a plant has got blight, then you have got the option to remove the tomatoes and either cook them into a chutney or something, or try and ripen them on a windowsill or something like that. So if I just give you an example of, again, we've got a side shoot there. Now, even at this time of the year, the plant still wants to shoot, but you don't want it to do that because you don't want to be producing any more tomatoes. So if we look here, I've got tomatoes up there, so just remove the foliage, because like I say, this will help the ripening process and it will also stop the risk of blight as well. So like that. So it's quite a time consuming job quite fiddly. It is really easy to cut off a truss of fruit, so don't beat yourself up about it if you do it. I do it despite my best intentions of only removing the leaves and leaving the tomatoes. Ever so occasionally I will cut off something I don't mean to cut off. It's just one of those things. So yeah, you'll get, I mean, I get shoots coming off the ends of the tomatoes and everything. So just get rid of all excessive foliage. And like I say, it does look a little bit bare, but it really is the best thing. I visited a friend actually recently. I mean, mine aren't a particularly good example because, to be fair, most of my tomatoes are ripe, but I do have a few areas or a few tomatoes over here, you know, where I can get rid of a lot of the leaves, you know, all around here. So this is probably a better example. I've still got quite a few green ones. So we just take off what we don't need, like so. Even got one shooting out of the ground. They're coming from everywhere. But yeah, just remove all that excessive foliage, and the tomatoes will ripen a lot quicker. So I do hope that that's reassured you. You won't just go pulling all your tomatoes on unnecessarily, and you will try and get a few more to ripen, and also that the split fruit can still be eaten. Now I'd love to know what you're doing at the moment, how you're getting on with your tomatoes, whether it's been a good crop or a bad crop this year. Mine's been incredibly good. I've got tons and tons of passata in the freezer, which I use for all sorts of stews and curries and what have you. I will put a link on this video so you can watch that if you want to. It really is rather delightful and a firm favourite in my house. So yes, please do give me some comments if you wish to.